Far Cry 3 was widely regarded as one of the best games of 2012 thanks to its interesting characters, a world packed full of details to uncover about Rook Island's history, and multiple ways to approach any combat situation with its wide variety of weapons. But what if you wanted to avoid almost every weapon in the game? Can you beat Far Cry 3 with only a machete? The game begins with all these rascals behaving as typical college-aged children. Shots, turtles, general douchebaggery. You can tell by their hats that they're just asking to be kidnapped by pirates and sold into a life of slavery and possible torture. Oh, well, this is a nice surprise. Being tied up and trapped in what may or may not be a bamboo box would be fun if I weren't trapped in there too. While Grant and I make our escape, allow me to explain a little bit about this run. I said machete in the title because you start with the machete as your melee weapon, but you can also get a knife, which is what I eventually upgraded to. What can't I use to kill people and animals? Pretty much everything. No firearms, no flamethrowers, no grenades, no Molotov cocktails, no bow and arrow, no running people over, no throwing knives, no anything else. I can only use the knife or machete I have equipped to the melee weapon slot. Because I'm trash at sneaking, it took several attempts to halfway escape. Grant, the typical older brother who knows how to do all sorts of combat shit and promises to keep me safe, got shot in the neck. I sat back, laughed, didn't attempt to hold him, ran into the jungle, and eventually escaped into the water, where I blacked out, had a nightmare about a game logo, and woke up in a bed. Dennis gave me a tattoo without my permission. Seemed like a weird thing for someone to do. He gave me a machete, held my hand, showed me around the village, and sent me off to buy a gun. Far Cry 3 is unfortunately more of a Bioshock Infinite and less of a Bioshock because you don't have the option of wielding the machete in your hand as your main weapon. I can't remove the pistol, but I sure as hell can waste all the ammo I bought with Dennis's money. My island adventure begins now. With my empty handgun and machete dangling dangerously at my side, I approached the first radio tower. Discovered that you have to hold square for like a year to loot containers, got bit by a snake, looked down, and successfully deactivated the tower's radio broadcast. After I showed Dennis the map, I was rewarded with 2 guns that are less than worthless to me, and was instructed to go kill some wildlife. Apparently, killing Piglet's entire family is enough to master the jungle. On the way to the farm, I looted an abandoned shack. Looting containers is something I don't do much of in this playthrough, because there's not much to find that's worth looking for. Money is only useful for buying medical supplies, and occasionally body armor. Normally, you'd spend money on weapons and ammo, but that is irrelevant in this run. At the farm, I killed a few pigs, boars to be more precise, and conquered the PTSD I've had for about 6 minutes by going back into the water to find a blue plant. I returned to Dennis and used my newfound nature trash to create 2 medical syringes, upgraded my sack to allow it to contain 32 items, and learned the stab in the back skill. I got in the truck and noticed that the camera really zoomed in for some reason. You field of view freaks may dislike this part. It was here I got my first taste of real combat. There are pirate booties just asking to be plundered. It's worth mentioning that I'm playing on the easiest difficulty. Did you really expect anything less from me? I stuck my machete through some guy's back, killed his pig, upgraded my syringe kit, made a mental note to look for dogs to murder, failed at distracting his friend, and stuck my blade through his throat, or his neck. I guess it went through both, technically. I got tired of the stealth shit and meleeed a pirate to death, which took 2 hits, killed the first of many dogs, and cleared the outpost. With the pirates dead, I swapped my pistol for an AK-47, wasted all of the ammo into a dead guy's back, threw a grenade, and was off to find Dr. Earnhardt. I accidentally drove my car off a cliff and got it stuck in a pond, found shark number 23, barely survived an ambush on the road, hit some rocks, killed a few more guys, stealthily, drove off a much bigger cliff, and exploded. I respawned, got a new car, and was back on the road to Earnhardt. I stopped by another radio tower and proved myself to be a true warrior by flipping a few switches. Now's a good time to talk about the biggest issue with the pirates inhabiting this island. It's quick enough to kill them with 2 swings, but the real annoying issue that I wouldn't classify as a problem is that they can sometimes bash you in the face with the butt of their gun, which knocks you down and leaves you open for attacks. Normally, you attack from a distance and don't have to worry about that too much, but when every encounter is a potential hand-to-hand fight, it's something to keep in mind. Earnhardt's mansion is pretty uninspired for a mansion, to be honest. He's also shockingly similar looking to William Giles from Oz. But unlike the clean freak from Oz, Earnhardt is less of a doctor and more of a doctor, if you know what I mean. He rescued a supposed acquaintance, Daisy last name, and has been keeping her safe and unconscious in his house. To rescue her from the void, I had to venture down the hill to a family of pigs who were wagging their tails like they were happy to see me. I don't know if pigs wag their tails to indicate happiness, but it doesn't matter because they're dead. My secondary objective was to enter a cave and find a mushroom. I startled a mushroom, which caused it to release its mist in defense. I got a C in my college biology class, alright? I know what I'm talking about. I vaguely remember my professor mentioning mushrooms one time. The mist did about what you'd expect for some weird cave mushroom cloud. The fauna fawned over me until I reached a house that kept backing up. Got some younger brother story exposition, shit got weird, I found all the mushrooms we'd ever need, and I only took this one tiny little mushroom. After giving it to Earnhardt, I upgraded the machete to a tribal knife and checked on Daisy, who was unfortunately both alive and conscious. My attempts to persuade the good doctor to let our other acquaintances stay in his house proved futile. Then Daisy said one word, and he opened his heart. He probably hoped Daisy would open something of hers for him in return, like her mouth for his mushroom, the medicine. Dennis called me and informed me of the Medusa, a not at all ominous sounding ship where I'd find some sort of a long-range communicator. I fast traveled back to the outpost I cleared. Yes, this game has fast travel. Drove around for a while, went off a third cliff, started the world's biggest fire that ever started because some jackass 25-year-old with a shitty tribal tattoo drove a stolen Jeep off a cliff and ditched it before it crashed into a tree and exploded. I found another Jeep, and the Battle of Medusa began. There are several missions in this game that require stealth. If anyone learns of your presence, besides those you kill immediately, fucking shut up! If anyone learns of your presence, besides those you kill immediately, the mission fails. This is where the worst parts of being restricted to only melee attacks really sets in. I failed a few times, but in those failures, I discovered that the tribal knife can kill pirates with one slice, which really is the only saving grace of this weapon. It took me about 20 minutes to get the code, listen in on the radio call, and go back outside to somehow fend off half a dozen pirates that had fully automatic rifles while I only have a knife. I died once, was a bit more careful the second time around, got another call from Dennis, and traveled back to the village where I could finally ditch the AK-47 in favor of a recurve bow. I took the bow for two reasons. The first is that it takes up fewer of the screen than the rifle, and enemies, or at least very few of them, use the bow, which means constantly picking up and wasting ammo is no longer something I have to worry about. Dennis told me about the plan. I raided a green flower field, got attacked by a fucking crocodile, then a second crocodile, killed a few tapirs, and skinned them for their hide, upgraded to the rugged sack, ended a buffalo, and killed a tiger with a goddamn knife. Animals are not enough to satisfy my bloodlust, so I tried to get the attention of a few pirates, but they weren't interested in getting killed by me today, and they drove on. There was a showdown of sorts between a different group of pirates and a few buffalo. I won, found more, and fuck Far Cry 3, Ubisoft sucks. Here's what happened. Far Cry 3 is somewhat of a janky game. If you're skinning an animal while being attacked by one of its brothers or sisters, you can't heal yourself, which means you get brutalized by a glorified slug with horns. All my progress going back to the raiding of the green flower field, all those skinned animals, all lost to the dark pit of endless suffering where Ives Guillemot's heart used to be. It was at this point the machete-only playthrough of Far Cry 3 stopped being fun. I ignored all wildlife and miscellaneous bullshit on my way to the logging site, where I stealthily killed damn near everyone I could find before rigging the explosives and escaping into the river. A crocodile caught me out of midair as I headed for dry land, so I could take care of another radio tower and take to the skies with a glider towards Sunset Cove prison camp, where someone might be being held. This place was even worse than the Medusa. I discovered here, after dying over and over and over again, that sometimes the cool glory kill is not always the best way to go. Just like with those buffaloes, sticking a knife through someone's spinal cord leaves you open to attacks. But when the attackers all have firearms, you're gonna have a bad time. But I eventually succeeded in infiltrating the prison and found a brilliant piece of game design that somehow slipped through Ubisoft's hands. See, you don't have legs. Look down, there's nothing. That's why you can stand in front of this projector without blocking the projection. Unbelievable attention to detail. I got bashed in the face with a gun again, woke up in a room with two losers and the coolest guy on this island, Voss. Personally, I wanted to see Hat Guy get roasted alive, but the slimy prick managed to escape. At least that's what I thought when I was playing. It was only upon watching it back that I realized he'd been taken. Then, disaster struck. Contrary to what you've been taught in first grade, fire is, in fact, a cunt. and you can't just run through fire like your instincts tell you to. No, you need to shoot a pipe to spray out the fire with water. This is the first instance where a firearm is necessary to proceed. A few quick-time events took place, Jason bitched about the heat, and I rescued douchebag number 2. We found a car and began to make our escape. You might be thinking that you need to use the supply grenade launcher to take out all these vehicles, but these are B-movie bad guys we're dealing with. They kill themselves without me needing to. This option is possible because without a medical syringe, you can still heal yourself, it just takes longer. Just keep healing yourself and then Ubisoft fucks you again. We're ambushed by 3 guys with guns. Simply hitting the gas and driving past them is not an option. Exiting the vehicle to kill them with a knife is not an option either. Waiting is an option, but it does nothing. Lisa does not drive unless you kill these guys, even if you fire a few warning shots into the dirt to let them know that you mean business. I shot the barrel, killed 3 people, we escaped at speeds that would make a snail wonder what the holdup is, and I cannot beat Far Cry 3 with only a machete, or a knife, same difference. But just like with Halo 3 and Bioshock Infinite, I'm not gonna let this setback end the run. Back at the Doc's house, I went down into the cave to reunite with my old friend the Powerhead, kept busy, and took a glider to meet someone named Citra. She's a good bit away from any place I've been so far, which makes aquatic traveling a viable method of transportation. Dennis beat me there. He introduced me to Citrus, who threatened to skin me alive and gave me a vial of poison to drink. I played cards at the bottom of the ocean, followed a man in white as he blinked in and out of existence, saw Bikini Bottom lying in ruin, and found what might be a replica of the knife I've been using for the last 11 paragraphs. Dennis still hasn't learned the meaning of the word boundaries, as he gave me another tattoo against my will, and I was off to Bad Town. I thought some fun would be fun, so I found an outpost to clear and was promptly mauled to death by a tiger. I hate this game. After respawning, I found a car, crashed it into a tree and broke it, took a swing at a dog, and got killed again. It was here my rage got the better of me, and I punched my PS4 controller a few times. It won, if you were wondering. Luckily, I respawned just outside of the outpost I'd found, partially cleared it out, came inches away from breaking both my legs in a freak ladder accident, killed a few pigs to upgrade my wallet, killed a few dingoes, and arrived at the town. I played poker, saw the man in white, did the obligatory follow this guy but don't get caught mission that probably plagues every Ubisoft game. I wouldn't know, I don't play very many of them, and met Agent Willis Huntley, who may be the best character in this game besides Voss. His task for me was to take a flamethrower to Hoyt Volker's fields. On the way to the fields, I spent far longer than I should have trying to take this jet ski down a waterfall. I almost got it, then realized I'd splat all over the bridge, then lost my footing and died because of course I did. I learned nothing and went back to do it again, but this time I successfully sent the jet ski over the edge, dove in after it, and rode it to Hoyt's drug fields. Now, normally, you could use the flamethrower as an actual weapon with flagrant disregard for the lives of those working the fields, but burning people to death is not an option, which is unfortunate. I do have a few things working in my favor though. The first is that I've unlocked the chain takedown skill, which allows me to quickly dispatch a few pirates at once. The second thing is that there are a hell of a lot of pirates to deal with, but there's a building that can be used as cover. This lets me get takedown kills more easily and allows me a place to hide to get my health back. As you begin burning the fields, more pirates will continue to show up, but 1 or 2 aren't much of a threat. It was also here that I encountered a heavy gunner for the first time. You might think they'd be a real pain to deal with, but they aren't. As I said earlier, what the knife lacks in range, it makes up for in damage. 2 slices with my knife, and the heavy gunner goes down. I burned the fields, blew up the boat, and returned to Bad Town to let Willis know I'd completed his mission. He let me know that Oliver was about to be sold to slavers. If this was a good game, I'd have the option to let him go, but it's not, so I've got to find a manifest to figure out where he's being transferred. I took a glider to the northeast portion of the island, wasted a few minutes trying to figure out how to get into this area, found something suspicious, and got to the rice fields. Hoyt played homage to Milton Minefield. I rescued Rongo, Bongo had the information somewhere in his shitty little house, and I got to defend him while he searches for it. I failed this mission a few times, primarily because being bashed with a gun leaves you vulnerable, and dead bodies sometimes do a little dying animation, which causes you to die. After a few attempts, Bingo found the document, I snapped a photo, and was ready to rescue Ollie. I was too late at the first stop, they'd been slaughtered by badgers, and I raced against the clock to get to the docks to find Oliver. This is instance number 2 of Far Cry 3 being a bad game. You can't just let Oliver board the chopper. Oliver can't defend himself. You're forced to use the worst sniper rifle ever put into a game to defend Oliver as he escapes to a boat. You can't not kill people with it. But we've already established that you can't beat Far Cry 3 with only a knife, so this doesn't really matter. I spent a few minutes killing everyone who came near Ollie. He got a boat, I manned the gun, and I used the same tactic as I did with the grenade launcher in the back of that Jeep earlier. Certain enemies are scripted to die because they trigger dialogue, so they die regardless of whether or not you shoot at them. Just keep healing as you take damage and you'll be home free. We all reunited at the cave, and I went back to Badtown to meet someone named Buck. Despite my bitching, Far Cry 3 has a lot of great characters, and Buck is another one of them. Buck's the key to getting Keith back. You can tell from the name that Keith is another douchebag. Buck wants the knife that I think I've been using for the last 22 paragraphs. My glider got caught in some incredibly isolated turbulence, and I boarded the Nostalgia. Taking out the pirates on the outside of the boat wasn't all that difficult. The ones on the interior were a smidge harder, only because there's a lot of them in a confined space. Then the boat exploded. I escaped before drowning and blacked out just below a shark. Good on Buck for being there to rescue me. Buck knew about the compass I'd found inside. I met up with him at some sort of a bunker. There was something inside I had to find for Buck. The pirates inside weren't a threat. I used some explosives to blow open a door in a cave because that's the smart thing to do. Killed a monkey and began exploring the ruins. There were a few puzzles, if you could even call them that, before I could get the piece of the compass. I escaped. Buck wasn't thrilled that I still didn't have his knife, and I met up with him again, this time at the mineshaft I cleared out earlier. The third piece of the compass is located somewhere inside. This was surprisingly difficult, because fire is still a pain in the ass to deal with. It seems like half the time I'm on fire, and hold triangle to put out the fire, it does nothing. Snipers are also annoying. Then there were the half-dozen pirates deeper in the mine. I took care of them all, pushed onward, found another piece of the puzzle, found some ancient buildings, burned them all down, escaped, and was greeted by Buck again. Before I went to the next location to get another history lesson from Buck, I swapped out my bow for a flare gun because I got tired of looking at the bow. Met Buck, and all those times I've driven a car off a cliff finally paid off. You're supposed to dive into this giant hole in the ground and into the water below. I absolutely did dive in, but if I'm gonna die, I'm going out in a blaze of glory that gets put out damn near instantly because it'd be in water. I got my Jeep, slammed the gas pedal, and drove into the hole. It was beautiful and worked out better than my ideas usually do. This ancient underground facility is more of the same, just worse because the genius pirates decided to arm themselves with Molotov cocktails when everything in there is incredibly flammable. Also, the knife apparently has a range of like 2 inches because you can't stab someone who's behind a shitty bamboo guardrail. Deeper inside, things got worse because there's pools of acid calling out to me like a siren song to jump in and let all my worries and skin be melted away. I got past the acid and pirates, raided a tomb like some sort of a tomb raider, upped my tribal knife count to 2, escaped the collapsing cave, and went to meet Buck. Surprise, he's a trickster and also a rapist, apparently. After a lackluster quick-time event fight, Buck died, anticlimactically, and the circle of super acquaintances was close to being complete. Then, Keith dropped the bombshell that Riley is dead, so I guess the gang's all here now. Neither parents nor acquaintances understand me or my struggles, which is why I left to take the knife to Cyrus. She gave me a history lesson about the island, as if I needed more boring monologues. Dennis let me know that the rock yacht were planning an ambush, and I went to do my part, which is arming a bomb to explode a fuel truck. I knew what was going to happen. The truck would explode, people would die, and the blood wouldn't be on my knife. I couldn't have that. So I refused to place the explosives and instead sat in place for like 5 minutes. Turns out the explosion can't be avoided. You also can't just blow it up yourself. I armed the truck, took my place atop the water tower, the explosion killed millions, and I descended to help the natives fight those weird army-looking guys. They're definitely not pirates. They have better weapons, but take the same amount of knife attacks to kill. The chase was on. I found a vehicle, tracked down the convoy, and got hit in the face with a gun again. Voss was privy to my plans. I awoke, chained to a chair and a cement block, and I was knocked into the water. Nobody on the Rook Islands seems to know how to tie knots, because I escaped without too much of an issue. You're supposed to feel vulnerable and helpless during this section, as you're without weapons and have to get to a helicopter, but I feel at home with only a knife. I boarded the helicopter, it got blasted out of the sky, probably payback for the dog I killed before I got on, and Voss found me again. This time was less theatrical, because he just shot me in the chest. I awoke at the bottom of a pile of bodies, ignored the button prompts, and suffocated. The next time around, I escaped as quickly as I could, decimated the nearby pirates to reclaim my weapons that I really didn't need but had to get to continue the story, returned to the temple to meet Connie, drank much stronger poison, and had to fight a giant squid-headed flame demon. You can't kill it with a knife, so this is, instance number 3 of a non-knife weapon being required? Probably 3, could be 4, doesn't really matter though. I attacked it with the bow and arrow, killed the smoke people sent after me with my knife, scaled the beast's arm, God of War style, stuck a knife in its eye, and woke up. Conrad was naked, but I'm not going to show it because I don't want this video to be taken down. I'm a leader of the Rat Boys, or something. That might have been a dream, since I woke up on a cliffside. After swimming to shore, I arrived at that place with the blue glowing wall from earlier, Voss's compound. Outside the compound wasn't that bad, but there was a sniper out there that I couldn't reach. Voss is, of course, one step ahead, and he's very aware of my feelings towards burning to death. There were a lot of guys guarding the entrance to the real compound. Luckily, I'd crafted a few endorphin syringes that temporarily boosted my health up to 10 bars. I guess that there were maybe 15 to 20 guys in that area that died. Voss drugged me. I entered a fever dream, didn't blow his brains out, fought through an army of shadow Vosses, and stabbed him with my knife several times before passing out and this creepy shit happening. I woke up at Cindy's temple. Dennis spent what felt like decades rambling on about his past, and my mission was clear: kill Hoyt. First, I had to let my cave-dwelling puppets know that I wasn't going to leave with them. With a glider, I soared through the air, farther than any Mitten squad has before in Far Cry 3, and met back up with Willis. It's a race to the finish, because old Willie needs my help. You'd think he could handle himself, but he can't. He did try to seduce me though. He just happened to have a giant turret next to his plane that was practically screaming my name. I ignored it, spent a few minutes defending Willis and his plane from pirates. He said he'd be leaving the island to go join Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 4, and agreed to drop me off on Hoyt's Island. I used a wingsuit to fly to the island, then killed a group of pirates, sliced a kitty to death, stole its truck, and drove to Thurston Town to meet a privateer named Sam. After bribing my way into a poker game, I pretty much just pressed random buttons because I have no idea how poker works or what those little discs are. Go fish is more my speed. Then I started whistling, which pissed off Baldy enough to make him cash out. And me, being the sneaky little cabbage I am, I immediately ran out of cashews and followed Sam, who put a gun in my face but thankfully didn't hit me with it. Then he disappeared. Luckily, this is a video game, and it told me where to go, so I didn't have to actually look for the guy. In his house, he explained the plan: disguise me as a privateer and earn Hoyt's trust, then kill him. The first thing I had to do was infiltrate a cave without being spotted. Let me tell you now, this mission was rough. According to the internet, others have also had a problem with this mission, primarily because forced stealth missions in an action game tend to suck cactus. I got past the first few guys without too much trouble. The next few were easy as well if you distract them with a rock. This waterfall part isn't difficult, but what comes next is, mostly because I'm an idiot and purposefully made it harder on myself. There's a walkway leading to the dock that you're supposed to go under. I didn't. I kept trying to go to the back left of the area because there's a door over there. As you can imagine, sneaking past 5 guys in a confined space without being seen by any of them is no easy task. Eventually I did get past them though, went through the door, got to the boat, and had no idea what to do next. My objective was about 50 meters in the opposite direction. I tried distracting this guy with a rock, then resorted to just hitting him with rocks, but nothing fazed him. I managed to fall into the water without being detected, swam to the dock, but didn't want to risk climbing the ladder and getting caught. After some thinking, I did, and it fucked me like I thought it would. I stopped playing for a little while, let my knuckles recover a bit, watched a video on YouTube showing how to clear this area, and after about 20 minutes, I got to the dock, was back at the boat from a few minutes ago, killed a guy, stole his clothes, got scanned, and attended a speech by Hoyt. He's got a thing for drama, and lit a guy on fire while he was trapped in a cage. I took a boat and left to enter the world with my new identity. Something went wrong inside this safe house. There was fire all over the place, and I went to kill a bunch of traitors for Hoyt. I'm the only one who's allowed to be a traitor. I was able to walk among them to get a general idea of where the bad guys were located. There were 3 very important pirates that needed to die, so I could search them for evidence. The first 2 had nothing, because that's how these fucking quests always work. I picked a note off the last guy's body, escaped to a nearby hut, and got a call from Sam about what to do next. I met him at another drug field so he could disarm a few bombs while I defended him, because these missions are always so fun. Fire is a nuisance as always, but the first 2 weren't that bad. The last one is where Ubisoft fucked me again, Believe it or not, you can't blow up a helicopter with a knife. If you ignore the chopper, Sam dies. So your only option is to destroy it with something that isn't a knife. These setbacks stopped mattering a while ago, so who cares? My next objective was to travel to a gorge to snap a photo. But after the photo, things go sideways in a very unfortunate manner. A truck needs to be stopped. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, no. It's physically and metaphorically impossible to reach the truck on foot in the 45 seconds you have because you're detected by a few guys when you try to pass them, and that cuts your remaining time down to 15 seconds. What the game gives you to stop the truck is an RPG, and that's what I gotta use. There is another option, but it's a speedrunning strategy that involves a sniper rifle that I don't have. Either way, people die from something other than a knife, so I blasted the truck with an RPG, fought my way through the dozens of men in the area, got momentarily stuck in a cave, recovered the roll sheet from a corpse, and jumped from the bridge to make my escape. You feel that? We're close to the end now. We're on recording number 8 of 8. I met Sam outside Hoyt's compound. He introduced me to Hoyt, he blew up a slave ship for fun, and sent me to torture someone who turned out to be my brother. I've always wanted to beat the shit out of my brother and stick my thumb in a bullet hole in his chest. After that fun little experience, Sam explained the plan. There's a communication center that I need to infiltrate without being caught. Awesome. Somehow, I managed to kill a heavy privateer and blow open a door with C4 without being caught. Here I met the toughest foe I've faced since I killed Tinker, the Privateer Heavy Flamer. They're more heavily armored than the standard Heavy, which makes them take 4 to 5 knife attacks to kill. Back outside, I eliminated the opposition near the satellite dish, rigged it to explode, defended the area for a little while until Sam arrived, boarded his chopper, blew up the dish, and we escaped together. I cleared another radio tower before meeting back up with Sam to destroy the fuel depot. This mission was tricky. Sam does the killing, but there's a fuck ton of privateers in the depot, and I made it a point at the beginning of this video not to kill anyone with a car. I had to be careful when driving around to not hit anyone. Sam's health is also something I have to keep in mind, which is why I didn't clear out the areas before setting off the explosions. They might have killed a few people when they went off, doesn't really matter anymore. The tragic tale of what should have been a simple knife-only playthrough seems to have come to an end. I must defend Sam while he rigs the last charge. The enemies don't show up until I man the machine gun turret. It was clear that there were far too many enemies for me to be able to sit back and constantly heal while more and more people arrived. So I used the machine gun to kill everyone. I stopped shooting as we made our escape because I know how these on-rail sections go. With the fuel depot a giant pile of ashes, the point of no return has arrived. There's no turning back. Sam and I entered Hoyt's compound for a poker game. My request to play Go Fish instead of poker pissed off Hoyt, because he stuck a knife in Sam's throat. Then he cut off my finger, and another weird fever dream QuickTime event began. This one was a little tougher, because you've got to be quick, which sucks because if you die, it takes a minute to get back to the QuickTime event. From the time your body hits the floor to when the first button prompt appears, I'm not joking for a dramatic effect, a full minute passes. I hate Far Cry 3. Hoyt died by my hands, from a knife, which is cool I guess, despite me missing the last button prompt. I escaped the building, ignored most of the people shooting at me, drove a car into a river, and arrived at the airship to save Riley. I cleared out the immediate area so that he could get to the chopper. He took a sweet time trying to get it off the ground, and despite everything I've done that's doomed the run so far, I chose not to shoot at anyone with the minigun. And guess what? We both died. Because the checkpoint system in this game is dogshit, I had to clear the area for Riley again. This time I said a swear and lit up every motherfucker I could conceivably pump full of lead. We escaped. Dr. Earnhardt's little house was burning to the ground. He died. I left my hand on his chest for an uncomfortably long time, went back to the chopper, and went back to Cyan's temple to rescue my acquaintances. Coco blasted me in the face with drugs, tied me up, and for some reason I thought she was gonna light me on fire. Again, nobody in this game knows how to tie a knot, because I got free in like 5 seconds. I passed through a valley of fire. Contra presented me with a blade I've been using for pages now, and I had a choice to make. Do I kill Conquer, or let her kill my acquaintances? I chose the path of righteousness. I saved my acquaintances. Dennis dared to question my decision after everything I've done for me. Costanzo took a knife in the gut to save me from Dennis, and died. I escaped with the people I still don't consider to be friends. The credits rolled, and I did not beat Far Cry 3 with Only A Machete. And that's going to do it for this video about whether or not you can beat Far Cry 3 with Only A Machete. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server through a link in the video description. Follow me on Twitter at Mitten Squad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad, and fuck Far Cry 3 and fuck Ubisoft.